When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper. My heart goes deeper into my God.
The meditation will take you.
It's not on.
It's not on.
There.
I need to hold it close enough. I have that problem from time to time. Meditation is in two parts. The first is a short video with another Daniel Nabet song, One Power, which I love so much. After which I will go into a brief guided meditation.
Hit it one more time.
Well, we can skip that. I will do the guided meditation, but I did want to say that that song, The One Power, when I came to Unity 5 years ago, really grabbed me by the heart, and it's so much of what the message is.
Let me see what happened. It's disappeared. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves.
And I just love it. And there's another connection. The slideshow that went with the video was made by a very dear friend of mine. So.
There it is.
if it's comfortable for you to have your feet flat, partly because as you close your eyes, you find yourself in the space that I'd like to guide you. You're walking in a large park, a beautiful day, much like today. Sun shining, grass, walking, pleasant little breeze. And in the distance, you see a hill, which seems to have atop it a circle of people. And you're alone, walking along and drawn to this circle. As you approach and walk up the hill, you realize that this circle of people is in fact a series of bronze statues. And as you get even closer, you find that there is a gap in the circle, just big enough for one person. And you are drawn to fill that place. You step into place. You take the hand outstretched on either side of you and are surprised at how warm and alive the hands feel. You look directly across the circle and you see the Reverend Martin Luther King. And as you see him, his eyes seem to come alive and gaze into yours. To his left, Mahatma Gandhi. Thrilling, warm presence. To his left, the Buddhist priest, Thich Nhat Hanh. Your heart is filled with love and compassion, as was set by the examples of these beings. Looking further around the circle to either side, you see beloved teachers and mentors. This the Fillmores. Miss Emily Cady. Perhaps you see Emmett Fox. And as you look further around the circle, approaching where you are, you find people from your own life, fully alive, until you are holding hands with the beloveds in your life who support you on your path of spiritual growth and compassion. At this moment, you are moved to close your eyes and enter into a prayer of silence and thanksgiving. And the world, which was quiet and peaceful, is ever more quiet and ever more peaceful. In this space of silence, you can hear a very small voice, as if from the back of your mind or arising from your heart, assuring you that you are a spark of that divine fire. And by completing this circle in which you stand, you take your place to do that which is for you to do. voices, the sound of birds flittering in the trees out on the edge of the park. You can hear the rustle of the leaves and the gentle breeze. And you come back into full consciousness, deeply grateful for having had this experience in this circle. You say, thank you. Thank you. And as you open your eyes, you find yourself back here, in this space, with this beloved circle.
In my introduction,
Yes.
I forgot to say that you've done some of the hardest things in a church. You have been on their finance team at Hilton Head Unity, and you've been on their board of directors. And most importantly, you are currently a prayer chaplain. Thank you for serving in all those ways.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Now you'll notice that I am very fond of being a prayer chaplain. I wore my prayer chaplain badge with me. And I brought my special prayer shawl, which I got at the Parliament of Religions. How many of you have heard of the Parliament of World Religions? Good, good. I have had a long-standing interest in the interfaith movement, and this, I believe, is kind of the pinnacle of its existence in the world today. I spent many years developing and presenting technical training for Abbott Laboratories, among other places, and did a lot of development in PowerPoint and used to delivering a lot of facts. And I must say, the first few times that I did this talk, I basically delivered a lot of facts, which are useful to a few people. But what I found that I needed to do is follow the exemplar of my beloved friend, the Reverend Dale Worley, beloved Kyle Shiver, others, and give you a sense of why I'm so inspired by this. So I thought I'd tell you how I came to Unity. My wife and I moved here to the Low Country in 2000 to be with her mother, who is now 99 years old. We're here to help her, and just this last year she decided she needed a little help. So it's been beautiful, but it was a very difficult thing for me to leave that community because I had the community I lived in Utah, because I had been so long involved in the spiritual communities that I had found myself in. And in fact, that's been the real reason why I got into Facebook, to stay in contact with all of those people. Now it's expanded from there. Some of my beloved friends here, Cha-Cha and Lester, can tell you that I spent a lot of time there. Anyway, so I did kind of adrift for a long time, and then in the newspaper, the local newspaper, I saw articles by the Reverend Justin Epstein, who was at that time the minister at Unity of Hilton Head, and they were very intriguing to me, in particular because several of them were about Hinduism and his involvement with Yogananda and Roy Eugene Davis. And I have a 40-year transcendental meditation practice, which has been the core of my spiritual development and anchor for a very long time. So I had become quite interested in and involved in Hinduism, so I began to come, and that was really beautiful. And I love the community. That's one thing that I think even if you disagreed with Unity principles, if you showed up at a church a couple times, you'd have a hard time leaving because the people are so wonderful. I find that every church I've been at. it really began to speak to me in ways that made me very hopeful. I had kind of been in almost a despairing place because I missed that community. In Salt Lake City, where I had lived for many years, I ran, for 5 years, I ran the Eastern Philosophy and Metaphysics sections of a bookstore, and we were kind of the hub of all of that. I was connected with many communities. I got involved with Native American spirituality a very long time ago there, 30 or so years ago. And so to have this glimmer that there was some spiritual community I could be involved in was exciting. And I found in that church there were many people who had done very similar things, and I connected with other people. And by the way, Reverend Dale Worley did sweat lodges with Native Americans for 5 years as an earlier part of his development. But at any rate, one day I went to church, and the president of the board approached me and she said, "Jim, if you have a moment or two, I'd like to talk to you after class." And so I said, of course. And I thought, well, here comes the membership question, because I had not joined. But it turned out, and she asked me to keep this in confidence, but Reverend Justin had accepted a position elsewhere. And they were asking me to be on the search committee, which blew me away because I wasn't even a member. Of course, they took care of that. For those of you who don't know Reverend Justin, he was associate minister at Eric Butterworth's church in Manhattan, New York City. And he left after 7 years at Unity of Hilton Head to return to be senior minister at that church. And he continues to do beautiful, good work there. I love this image. I just run onto this. You know, everybody sees the coexist and variations on that theme. But this image with people with the puzzle pieces, I really think that this is at the heart of my interest in the interfaith movement and my interest in the Parliament of World Religions, because I think that everybody who holds their spirituality close has a piece of the puzzle that if you spend some time with them, they share it with you, a light will go on for you as well. So I think it's a beautiful thing. On the little medallion there, the Dalai Lama said, "When there is peace among religions, then there will be peace on earth." And by the way, the Dalai Lama has attended every one of the modern parliaments since 1993, until this one, a month before the one in October of 2015, he had health problems and was not able to attend, but a very strong supporter. I think that the mission and the function of the Parliament of Religions is very much in alignment with Unity. Unity Worldwide Ministries vision, centered in God. We co-create a world that works for all. Mission. We create and support vibrant, diverse, spiritual leaders and communities that foster transformation and inspire people to make a positive difference in the world. One God, many paths. The very first Parliament of Religions took place in 1893 in Chicago, and it was done in conjunction with the Columbia World's Fair. I believe that was the very first World's Fair. And it was the brainchild of a Unitarian minister. There were many other theologians and clergy involved in creating this first one, but the Unitarians, I think their most sacred figure in their tradition is Ralph Waldo Emerson, who you mentioned. At any rate, it was a very interesting event, and folks from a number of places in the world were present. The Transcendental Movement had opened a lot of people's minds and interest in Hinduism and Hindu philosophy, and among those speakers who first who came were Swami Vivekananda. And he was a young but very highly revered Hindu who actually gave the keynote speech. Over 5,000 people attended that speech. he had a tremendous influence on that group. And he said, and I think this fits in beautifully with what unity is all about, we are what our thoughts have made us. So take care of what you think. Another thing that he said that I'm going to paraphrase this, but I love this, is we do not just believe in tolerance for others' religions. We believe that all religions are true.
Amen.
And I believe that. I believe that error creeps into anybody's point of view, and every religion has error that emerges from it. But if you find your spark of divinity awakened in your Baptist church, in your Buddhist temple, wherever it is, religion there is true for you. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore attended that first Parliament of Religions in 1893, and that happened to be the year also that they chose the name Unity to give their movement. Reverend Margaret can tell you in great detail, but originally they did not conceive of themselves as a religion, as a church. In fact, there was some opposition originally to that. Their idea was they were a religious school, and they felt like if you come to Unity, you will be a better Baptist, you will be a better Methodist, you will be better Lutheran. And it took a while to evolve into a religious entity itself. One of the things that the Fillmores did early on was establish a little bookstore. And in that bookstore, they carried 7 of the pamphlets that Swami Vivekananda wrote. And at one point, I had this at the tip of my tongue when I gave a presentation on Hinduism to our church once. And the Fillmores were particularly fond of Hinduism, thought there was a great deal of truth there. And I think that this quote from Charles is very much in accord with what Swami Vivekananda had to say. It was 100 years from that first Parliament of Religions till the next one in Chicago, again in Chicago, which is great, 1893. But they really saw, the people who put this together really saw the potential of healing many of the rifts in the world by having religious leaders and spiritual figures come together to talk about the issues of the world, come to share their truths. There's a lot of wonderful history, and I've got another full PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to make available somehow if people want to see that, that lists some of what went on. But the second one was in 1999 in Cape Town, South Africa. 7,000 people attended that. This was a very important time in the history of South Africa. The Truth and Reconciliation process deeply ongoing. So this was a way of honoring them and supporting their process. 2004, Barcelona, Spain, 9,000 people attended. By the way, I heard about the one in Chicago afterwards and thought, oh, would I ever like to go to one of these? So the next one in Cape Town, didn't have the budget to fly there. Barcelona, couldn't get there either. Melbourne, wow, that's on the other side of the planet. 9,000 in Barcelona, 10,000 in Melbourne. How many of you know about the Association for Global New Thought? They are, I think we'll hear more and more about them. I believe that really at the heart of that vision was the Reverend Michael Beckwith, but with other key figures in the New Thought movement, including the Reverend Howard Caesar, whose Unity Church in Houston has 10,000 members. He was amongst the founders of Religious Science and all of these other organizations heavily involved. They were from the first of the modern ones, they were well represented. Michael Beckwith has been in every one of the parliaments, as has been Howard Caesar, and so forth. The association now has between 700 and 800 churches affiliated with them. Unity, Science of Mind, Agape, so forth. Sampling of some of the leadership, besides Reverend Howard Caesar, Reverend Argentina Glasgow, and Tom Zender are both former CEOs of Unity. Reverend Wendy Craig Purcell, very well known, her church in San Diego, I believe, has got almost 10,000 people involved in that church. The AGNT published their vision. There is an inherent perfection and sacred worth in the universe. All of creation and every individual, the community of all life is interconnected and interdependent. Oh, button, there's the right button. Their mission: we honor the diversity of cultures and faiths while aiming to articulate, practice, and embody universal spiritual principles. We encourage personal transformation and collective awakening. We practice the gift of active compassion and kindness through our service to all of life. I was excited to see all the ways in which Unity of Myrtle Beach is involved with the beloved community that you find yourself in. People with economic difficulties, helping with children, helping with the sick and lonely, and so forth. Mission. We honor the diversity of all of cultures and faiths while aiming to articulate. Didn't I say that? Yeah. I did. We foster a world that works for the highest good of all. Principles. God is the creative process in action in everything, everywhere, always, at once. Does that sound like unity? There was agreement between all the major factions of New Thought to arrive at that. One more thing I should mention is that the Association for Global New Thought was such a profound presence at all of these parliaments that they, in the year 2009, got New Thought recognized officially as a religion, which I think is a great thing. One of the other things that, and I believe in it, this was really driven by Dr. Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, was principles of spiritually guided activism. And in fact, he coined that term, spiritually guided activism. That there has been, I believe, among many New Thought folks, a kind of belief that because God is good, and there is only God, and that all is in divine order, that our involvement with causes and actions in the world is maybe not necessary. But there are many of us, and I think that can be true for any particular individual. But what I find is that many people in the New Thought movement are moved by their tender hearts and their compassion to be involved with their communities, to help the homeless, to be involved in the anti-war movements, all of those kinds of things. The crucial difference is that our consciousness, as New Thought people, do not advocate our positions opposing them to the enemies that hold counter positions. We don't see enemy consciousness. We're not fighting wars. If we are anti-war, it's because we believe peace is what we all deserve and need, and we believe that peace can blossom in every heart. So the spiritually guided activism really does take the stance that you are God, you are the light of God, and if we have differences here over how things should be handled, we can find a way to work them out. And a lot of spiritual activism is bringing your message to other people. or it is demonstrating to one another ways in which you can help in the world. You know, whether it's spending time in senior citizen homes, volunteering at schools, all the kinds of things that can be done along those lines. 2015, Salt Lake City. Now, as I mentioned, I lived there for over 30 years. So finally, does Jim get to go to a Parliament of World Religions?
Yes.
I'm so excited that November of 2014, I find out about this. And within 15 minutes of finding out about this, I'm putting a message on Facebook, yippee, yes, I'm going to go. You know, I'm sure I've got places to stay and all that. All that was taken care of. But within 10 minutes of my posting that, I got a private message back saying, I will be your ticket for this. And that individual had, in fact, it was the same individual who did the slideshow for the One Power, had me over the next month, made breakfast for me, sat me down at the computer, and paid for my registration. So I knew it was all in divine order. 10,000 people attended. 80 nations were represented. Over 50 faiths. This was an amazing environment to be in. There were over 50 Unity ministers there. Although, sadly enough, Unity itself did not have an official presence. Association for Global New Thought was there. All of these other spiritual Center for Spiritual Living and others had booths and presence. Unity did not choose to have a booth or have a presence outside of the involvement of the Global New Thought. Home to Utah. Now, I just have to say, part of my involvement with Native Americans came from my deep love of the natural environment. I hiked and camped all over Utah, the mountains and the deserts. My best friend, Jose, the fellow with the frog legs there, I've known him since I was a boy. He and I have been on top of every single peak on the entire Wasatch Front. And this particular peak that happens to be right there next to that little pointy thing is Mount Baldy, where we're standing. And this is my wife, Christina. So I was so delighted that this image would happen to be there, and that I had this picture, so I had to share it. The event was opened by the indigenous folks who were our hosts. And I've worked with all of these tribes, these First Nations people, Paiute, Ute, Navajo, Shoshone, Blackfoot, Hopi, beautiful presence by them. They kept a sacred fire outside the Salt Palace at all times during the whole event, and there were elders, native elders there, who would help you if you were interested to make tobacco offerings. They would help you with that, and you'd take them to the fire. And I visited there a number of times. There was a Global New Thought panel discussion, a spirituality for the 21st century, New Thought's uniquely American contribution. I am so excited about the deep involvement of New Thought with the Parliament of Religions because I think that we, more than anybody on the planet, are prepared consciously and in our belief systems to support this vision. Most of us come from I know that up here there's a lot of folks who were Baptist, some even Pentecostal. Down at Unity of Hilton Head, which is a lot of snowbirds, a great number of those were Catholics. So you understand the interfaith potentials and the beauty of that. Oh, there's my wife getting a little sugar and a bit of agape from Michael Beckwith. Because there was so much to do, they gave you a big, fat book handout with all of the events. My wife and I kind of split up the duties, and I attended many of the indigenous events, and my wife attended many of the New Thought events, and we put our notes together. Along the lines of sacred activism, one of the things that each of the parliaments have done has been to try and address the kinds of global problems that religion has something to say about. And there were declarations that you could sign. There was a particular emphasis on women. Now, you know, I'm a proto-feminist from the 60s. I understood that. And in this country, we've made a lot of gains along those lines. But still, in the global community, women have not received their due. And more importantly, in the religious community, there are still a number of faiths that do not allow women to become ministers, preachers, that sort of thing. And so there's a lot of emphasis there. Climate change, even our beloved Pope Francis putting a lot of emphasis on the importance of climate change as a spiritual good for people. My Native American involvement also emphasizes that. Standing up for indigenous peoples, income inequality, a number of fronts they're working on. There were a lot of wonderful things that took place supporting it as well, and one of them was the Sacred Music Night, which was just a few blocks away at the Mormon Tabernacle. 7,000 people, and it was only people involved in Parliament, filled this to capacity. And it turned out, I went out to do a lot of videoing because I had a lot of people involved. My friend Alan Bachman was this fellow right here in the lower part. He's studying to be a rabbi. I met him because of George Grant. He and I have been doing transcendental meditation for 40 years. Together I've known him. Ashish Khan, he composed much of the music for the movie Gandhi. He was head of the All-Indian Orchestra for a year. Tremendous musician. Anyway, so they performed there. Alan also did... I love this. It was a youth choir. I'm being told that I'm getting close to the end, which is good because I'm almost there. Youth multi-faith choir, Muslim, Sikh, Hindu, Jew, Buddhist, Christian, Jain, and Baha'i were all represented. It was a gloriously beautiful thing. I wanted to also point out, every day, free lunch was provided by the Sikhs. They fed between 7,000 and 9,000 people every day for free. Wow. It was a 45-minute wait, but you didn't miss it. The time, as the person ahead of you and behind you were people you really wanted to be engaged in, but it was a beautiful giving from them. The Sikhs have taken on feeding people as a central part of who they are. Their Golden Temple in Amritsar, sometimes more than 250,000 people, every single day fed 3 meals for free by the Sikh community. What a beautiful way they found to engage the world. Maybe at the Connect the Dots, and I'll make this available otherwise. I've got some links for you to look at. Finally, I wanted to say how, if this vision engages you, if this is something that catches your attention, these are some things that I think that the Unity Movement can do to help. Faithfully hold our vision that there is only one power, God the good, and share it lavishly with the world around us. Our essence is of God, therefore we are inherently good. This God essence called the Christ is present in each one of us. See it in everyone. Pray affirmatively with and for the workers of light who make the Parliament of the world's religion possible. Practice the principles and through prayer and meditation in every thought and action, and follow your heart. I am so grateful for the opportunity to share this with you. It's a passion I have, and thank you.